Just in case you missed it, it's the top 5 sports talkers of the day. Now, it's time for Dan Barrero's Top 5 at 5. Brought to you by Gutter Helmet of Minnesota. Never clean your gutters again. Learn more at gutterhelmetmn.com.
Let me throw this fly into the Timberwolves trade rumor ointment. Okay. I said earlier, I don't think they're interested in a couple of the big fish because of the baggage that might be coming along. And by baggage, I mean money.
Money.
Might
price, be assets going the
character
other way.
In some cases with Ja Morant, but also in the case of LaMelo Ball. But there is one big fish that they're in on if he literally becomes available. And he might. You know who I'm talking about. Giannis. Now, I'm not saying they'd be able to pull it off.
Right.
But I think he's the one guy that you say, whatever you said before about logic and we can't give up too much or we got this cute little club.
Give it a try.
My assumption would be, I think Johnny said this.
He did.
That's the one guy that if he became available, change everything. And he's out today. He apparently said he's calling out he says the Bucks have chemistry issues. So it's looking more and more inevitable. The trade deadline is I think a Thursday, Feb 5, 2:00 our time. I think.
Yep.
That's the one X factor that you say. Well, now I don't know if he'd want to come here. I have no idea. Supposedly he wants to go to Miami among other places.
That's what everybody.
But
says.
that's what everybody says, and maybe that's what Miami tries to perpetuate because it's to Pat Riley's benefit. But that's the one bigger fish that I think you throw. Then I think anything's possible. Trading anybody away other than Ant is possible in that circumstance. Don't you think?
Yes.
Yeah, we can argue whether you should, but he's still an awfully good player.
He's unbelievable. Now, it hasn't gone well since they won the title there, but he won a title with Milwaukee.
He did.
There's no
question about that.
He did what we're all trying to do, bring a title to one of the smaller towns, one of the flyover country towns. Yes. He did that. He stayed for a really long time.
He did. It's true.
Now, it's getting weird now. He's, I think, playing it both ways.
I know, he is. Yeah, 1 minute this is where I am. I'm happy.
Love Milwaukee. This is great. We have chemistry issues.
Where he lost me was getting annoyed that fans at halftime of a home game in which they trailed the Wolves by 33 couldn't deal with the fact that they got booed.
And Ant wasn't playing that night, right?
No, he was not.
Yeah.
I don't think Ant or Rudy were playing that night.
I think that's right.
I think they were both out.
Let's talk about last night.
Okay.
Where the Bulls were in town.
Yeah. Were there any boos last night?
No.
Was there like an undercurrent of grumbling by the end of the game? You didn't sense that either?
No, because the crowd was into it once the Wolves kind of got going. It was a slow starter, for sure. And not every seat was full, which I know they don't care about anymore. So there were plenty of empties. But then the crowd really, I thought, got into it and was ready to go, but they couldn't get any stops, right, Finchy?
We got to get back to playing defense. We have no defensive personality right now. We got to get back to winning the point of attack. So,
why does that wax and wane throughout a season?
Jace?
I don't know. Just it's a question for them more than me, really.
Wow. Well, it is for you, too, though. You're the head coach. I know it's the NBA and it's different, and you can't hold players accountable like you can in college and high school.
It's always the danger of how many times you go with, it's up to them. It's like, it is, but if you repeat that too often, eventually somebody goes, well, then maybe we should try to get somebody else who can get them to do that more often. And I'm not calling for that, but that's the danger of, it's their deal. I don't know. I'm watching it, and you're watching it like me, and no good defense. There was a cry for help from him regarding the bench, which maybe Tim Conley noticed as we get. So basically, it's 2 weeks from yesterday.
Yes.
Trade deadline.
Yep.
So we're now it's going to get really juicy the rest of the way because now, there's been a lot of probably just endless speculation that's almost so open-ended that it seems silly. But now that you're inside 2 weeks, right? Now you're going to hear a lot of stuff, and some of it still might not be true. But I think you're going to see some serious negotiating going on because I think there's a number of teams jockeying, and there are some names some of whom we might not be interested in, but there's some names out there as well. So I think it's going to be a very interesting trade deadline. I don't know how much stuff's going to get done, but I will still maintain I'll be not surprised. I will be shocked if the Wolves do not make one significant move.
Wolves, by the way, it's a 7-8 play-in preview on Saturday.
Is it 2 in a row with
yes,
the Warriors?
Saturday and Monday.
Both here?
Both here. 4:30 on Saturday and then 8:30 on Monday night.
So an interesting doubleheader. You got an early Gopher men's basketball hosting undefeated Nebraska.
11 a.m.
And then 4:30, you say you got the Wolves. The first of two with the buckets-less Golden State Warriors.
How about that?
Yeah, he's out. Done for the year. Looked bad on the injury. You could almost tell immediately something was really bad.
It's one of those you can. And then tomorrow, it's a triple header on the Fan. It's Gopher basketball, it's Wolves basketball, and then it's Wild hockey.
Wow.
Against Florida, part of Hockey Day.
How'd it go for the Wild last night?
It went well. John Hines, were you worried about Kirill like everybody else was?
I think he's had so many looks, and it was nice to see him get rewarded. I think he probably could have 4 tonight. I think he hit two crossbars and had multiple looks. So it's nice that he was able to convert. I think just the way that he's played for us, as of late, really good job on the road trip. Had lots of opportunities to score, but didn't. So tonight he came through big on home ice, so it was good.
On our ice is what it did. 4-3 was the final in overtime. The Wild get the victory over the Detroit Red Wings.
How many points are we still behind the Lanch? I mean, the Lanch
10.
are uncatchable. Okay, 10.
Yeah, we have 67. They have 77.
Are we ahead? Are we second?
We are ahead
in
of
the
Dallas.
league?
Yep, by 2 points.
Okay.
Yep.
That's still pretty rarefied air. That's good positioning.
It's outstanding.
And now we're coming down to it. I keep forgetting to text Guerin. He hasn't left yet, I don't think. He wouldn't have left yet for...
No, they don't. I mean...
Cortina.
They leave about the same time as the trade deadline.
Yeah.
The last game is like February 4th or February 5th.
Okay.
So the Wild win. They get 2 points. They're second in the Central, 67 points, and Florida tomorrow night. We're out at 6 because the Iowa Wild taking on the Milwaukee Admirals, 2 teams that don't much like each other. They, I think, just dropped the puck. We're going to join it in progress.
Where is that game, Milwaukee?
Hastings. Halfway between. At
Hockey Day, Minnesota. You got to do it.
At Craig Kilborn Arena. Craig Kilborn Arena in Hastings, Minnesota. Fan wants to give you a shot to win bonus bucks with our National Cash Contest. Final keyword of the week is check. Go to KFAN.com and enter the keyword
We'll get
check.
to some texts. We'll prepare for Star Tribune satirist Lavelle Neal III at the bottom of the hour. That'll be our last segment because, as Gaardsy says, we go to Hockey Day, Minnesota festivities at 6 o'clock.
Spend an evening with Jeff Foxworthy, known for his signature You Might Be a Redneck jokes. Don't miss out when the Grammy-nominated legend takes the stage at the Treasure Island Event Center on March 14th. You can secure your tickets today at TICasino.com.
Most people say get some steps in. Gessling just nonchalantly dropped a get some miles in, and nobody flinched regarding his appearance on a treadmill that I didn't think he had. You didn't either. I thought he did nothing, but I almost thought he would look down on the whole concept treadmill. What are you talking about? I run outside, however, and whenever I want to. Right?
Yeah, I'm stunned by the whole thing.
It's almost Santa Claus-like. Couple texts coming in on a number of subjects. Chris writes, Pettin has been a do-nothing with the Vikings, a charity hire by KOC. Wow. Pretty bold of him to go after a real coach like Flores. Wow. Those are fighting words. What I will say is, it's funny he says that because I don't know Pettin. I have no reason to not like him or anything. But I got to tell you that I do believe there are too many coaches, too many assistants in the NFL.
It's everywhere now, college too.
That's true.
Yeah.
But I think when you create those kinds of jobs for like people who used to be head coach, you can help us here and help us there. I don't have as much respect for that as a person who's running a part of the team. If you're running the defense, I'm not saying that makes Brian Flores perfect. Chances are he might not be the easiest to always work with. I don't automatically give demerits for that if you're doing your job well. Sometimes you have to challenge things in people. But if I'm being honest, if I'm looking at the Vikings, the coaching tree, you got a lot more to do when you are in charge of part of the team. You obviously got even more to do if you're the head coach. But beyond that, if you're in charge of the team, that's a lot more significant to me than some sort of floating consultant, help here and help there job that there are too many of in this league. And I think some of it is, it is rewarding favors from the past. It's, I just like, we got the money. Let's bring them around. It's kind of cool to have somebody else like that around. There's too many of them in this league, I would say. But I'm kind of curious to know what else there is to that story. I don't know that we ever will get to it, but it does.
We will when everybody leaves, and then everybody
when
talks.
The book is written?
Yes. When the book is written, when the oral history in The Athletic is written, we'll hear all of it.
This might be a callback to yesterday's program from Target Center. 763 guy writes, new CEO is even letting in the less financially advantaged kids to the events now. He's referring, of course, to the protest that ended up at Target Center and I believe is going on right now. A couple people have asked this. I think that there's an assumption made that, that's where the Timberwolves play. Timberwolves must have sanctioned this. I don't believe the Timberwolves would have had to sanction it. As I understand the arena situation, I don't believe the Wolves have full say over everything that takes place in the arena, do they?
No. Target
could they have cooperated it, or is that possible too? Anything's possible, but I wouldn't assume, because somebody said, well, who's paying the rent? Don't know. It's a fair question that should be asked. I don't know if any of the ink-stained wretches will ask it. Wherever you are on it, it's still a fair question. I think that's true, but I wouldn't assume, because there's people out there, you know how this goes. They go, oh, okay. That's all I need to know about the Wolves. Okay. I know which side you're on now. I'll remember that maybe next time I was thinking about going to a game. It doesn't take much. And by the way, if they paid for this or have somehow sanctioned it that way, I guess you have a right to respond to it if you're bothered by it. But let's find out first, right? Can we at least wait that long to find out who's paying, how it would be sanctioned, et cetera, et cetera? Because I think the city has hosted some events there before, if I'm not mistaken. Don't you believe?
Yes, it's a multi-use facility.
Why would ICE be downtown during this protest? That's to a question I asked of Rob Olson, Fox 9. Seems like a good time for them to go elsewhere while everyone is distracted downtown. Airport protesters were zip-tied by police and bussed off. I don't know if that's true, but it might be. Why would there be a presence for ICE at the march unless they have information that there are illegal criminals there? That must be what it is. 10,000 of them. 10,000 illegal criminals, don't you think? Likely?
Lower bowl.
Lower bowl. That's it.
Yeah, Target Center is jammed. Just seen some videos.
Including upper bowl?
Well, right now I've just got kind of that main lobby as people are trying to get in.
So they're still trying to get in as we speak?
Looks
is that
like
what it looks like? Because Rob Lowe they were in there on their way in.
Rob Olson.
Rob Lowe. Rob
Lowe would be a good Barrero Conversations podcast guest.
That actually would be, right. Rob Olson was talking to us an hour ago, and they were streaming in then, right?
Yes.
So, but he did say it was very, very congested and very, very crowded. 100% agree with you. As a lifelong liberal, the kind of attitude the texter said is exactly why the Dems can't get any leverage against the ridiculous moves of the government. They're so concerned about others' purity that the infighting keeps us from making any headway at all. We have to do what we can with what we have, where we are, and honor others' contributions instead of denigrating them. Thank you for being reasonable and honest. That was to a lecture I received on that I should have. If I wanted to make a real statement as an influencer, I should have refused to work today, which also potentially would have meant that we wouldn't have had a guest on from the protest, which seems, again, counterintuitive if I'm in the business of attempting to talk about this stuff. Now, for that texter, because when he listened to us, we were talking about sports stuff, the assumption is that you're obligated to spend the entire show on this subject and perhaps even repeating yourself on a wheel, which is a way you can do radio. It's not the way I've done it. That's been very successful. And in fact, I actually think you end up losing listeners because they feel like you're repeating yourself way, way too much. The problem lies on Twitter, Facebook, Insta, whatever. Right, 612 guy. when we started to publicly address our political leanings, was the time this country started to go insane. There's some truth to that. There's no question about that. I've worked in the cold all day because I have bills to pay. Progressive leftists can't dictate my life and guilt me to follow their demands. Well, there's another whole piece of it that way, which is why I think it's dangerous to tell people what they have to do, especially if the individuals you are protecting might need to work or might not have the option. They may not have the kind of flexibility to do what you can do because you've got a cushy job and you're protected. And I'll say again, I am not here to denigrate the protest. I have not denigrated the protest. I'm not presumptuous enough to tell everybody, well, your heart's not really in it. You're just doing it to do it. There are people in that classification, but I can't know which is which. I can get clues on the basis of the approach that one takes, but I'll add again as a strategy. If you want to leave aside the morality of it, the strategy of it, I think is it's not worth it. There are strength in numbers. The strength is be there if you want to be there. Participate if you want to participate. And by the way, stuff that happens tomorrow, the next day, the next day, the next day, however you're going to participate, just as important as what might happen today. And what if those people suddenly have other things that they have to do? Should they be called out? It's moronic. But it's convenient because what it does is it makes you feel better about yourself because on this day, by God, you're doing what you think should be done. But as I said, be careful what you wish for on that evaluation process because it can and often is turned on you. And you feel very differently about it when you're no longer in control of the pointing. When somebody is pointing at you rather than you being when you're the pointee, it's a little more complicated than when you are the pointer where you get to decide where you're pointing and you're not letting anybody point at you. Well, you don't always have control of it. And that to me is the danger of are you either as a litmus test of you're either with us or you're against us. There's so many parameters to that. There's so much nuance and so many complications to that. But often the people who go down that road don't live in a real world. And they are performative and they don't really have, they have so much flexibility in their lives. They have so much privilege in their lives that they are able to just decide, I'm going to make those decisions, not just for myself, but for other people. Let us pause, bottom of the hour break, and we will get to the Star Tribune columnist. I call him these days satirist, Lavelle Neal III. Was it satire or is it satire that he offers up via, right now, sports section, StarTribune.com. We'll find out when he joins us next.
Show Wrap presented by American Pressure, commercial grade pressure washer since 1975.
It's the Bumper to Bumper Show Wrap.
The wrap so early today because we're out at 6 o'clock this very evening for, Hockey Day Minnesota weekend, basically. The Iowa Wild in action in Hastings tonight, and all the action can be heard on the Fan beginning at 6 p.m. with Halvey on the call. Is that correct? Is that what you told me?
Halvey and Parker Fox.
How good is that? How outstanding is that? I'm scrambling for time because I am looking as we say hi to Lavelle Neal III via the Connecticut Water Systems hotline.
Is that game outdoors?
Of course it is.
Oh, my God.
It's fine out. Have you been out today?
Yes.
The wind is...
I've been all over the metropolitan area.
Well,
apparently, I left Minneapolis just before it was taken over by protesters.
Yeah, Target Center is filling up as we speak. Most of the estimates say tens of thousands protesting.
Who's paying for Target Center to be open today for this?
Well, the city, I think, technically owns the Target Center, and that should be, that's fair. One of the questions is who would pay for the rent. I have no idea, but there have been events. It's not just a Timberwolves exclusive place, as you know. So I'm sure I hope we will find that out. I asked the question earlier in the show. I don't know if you heard about it, But would you call yourself a...
Trust me, Dan, I've heard about it because here's the pattern. All right. I'm having a nice, chill Friday afternoon, may have finished the column, work on some other things, and then I get a text message from Thinking A Gal. And it's always the same thing. They're ripping you on KFAN right now. And I'm like, can you tell me what they're ripping me about? For Christ's goodness sake. And then she goes, well, it's about your column. And I'm like, that's not telling me enough. But that's Thinking A Gal. That's what makes her special.
There's no question.
I've been waiting for this inquisition ever since.
Well, here's she should get more specific, but I think it's better. That's the common man trick. You're getting ripped. And you don't get specific because then it opens like, what the hell? What does that mean exactly? And then eventually, once he's got your attention, then he might give you a little more information. I'm looking at the headline and the subhead. StarTribune.com. Here's the headline. Neal. What we really need, and by the way, it should be Scooter, but what we really need from the Twins is the unexpected. Subhead. Selling hope is a time-honored tradition for teams that don't have much else. The Twins should make a splash. Now, you and I have known each other a long time. And so I would say to you, you know better. I mean, what you're saying is demonstrably, provably true. But what you're suggesting you also know ain't going to happen. So that tells me that this is an attempt at satire, that there's no way you would write that straight because you know that's what everybody wants to see them do, but you also know that there's not a chance in hell they're going to do it.
Now, folks listening at home or in your car or wherever, or on your phone, through iPods or whatever, this is Dan at his best. I've been in the studio with him when he's done these things, and when he's asking these tough or these incredulous questions, there's the biggest smile on his face when he's asking, because he loves this stuff. He loves it.
Admittedly.
And I'm going to say this. He knows, since we know each other for a long time, he knows I have no control over the headlines or the subheads. I just pointed out that the Twins are the only way the Twins are going to get fans to get back on board is to do something unexpected this year. And I also said that, but that is an extremely difficult task. But I said that it's better than selling hope because hope is not a good strategy. That's all I think.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess they're not going to, like, what you're describing as a splash would be something splashy, right? It would either be big money, which they're not going to do, or a significant trade, unless you're hinting, is this your way to telegraph that we might actually be talking about trading Buck?
No, I guess you could take it that way. I guess you could. I wasn't talking about trading Buck or Lopez or Joe Ryan. But I will say this: I could still see a path to a Joe Ryan trade by midseason. I definitely can, because I don't know if they're going to be ready to sign him to a long-term contract. So, and maybe that was why there was a rumor that they were interested in Peralta from the Brewers before he got traded. I don't know, but no. That's not what I was suggesting, that they could be something blockbuster-ish is trading Buxton. But I'm just saying, sitting at that banquet on Wednesday, listening to them, promote the future, the young guys, get to know them, and then today at the media luncheon, and then Tom Pohlad. I wasn't there for this part because I had to fly over the Frost practice to work on Olympic stories. But Tom apparently told the media jackals about how there's still room in the payroll to add more players. I'm like, okay, that's great. It sounds like you guys are being active, but we know you're not going to like sign anybody for more than like $5 million a year. So that's not going to be like a big signing, So I'm just saying that when I was sitting there Wednesday, I was just hearing, okay, they're talking about hope, they're talking about the prospects, they're talking about kids. This is not what fans are going to want to hear. And fans, and frankly, there's no message the Twins can send out right now that will appease the fan base. They're going to have to shut up and play and shut up and win. I don't know if they're equipped to win like that, especially with that bullpen. But I will say this. After I wrote that column, the first email came from a Twins fan who said, you're going to be wrong. The bullpen's going to be fine. there's going to be enough offense, and they're going to win this weak division because the Central's weak, and it's definitely winnable. And all, you're going to be wrong. Watch. So that was the first email I got in response to the column. And, if it turns out that way, and I tell you what, no one in the division really made a big move during the offseason. But I'm not saying that means the door is open at all by any stretch of imagination for the Twins. They've got some work to do, but you cannot trust their offense, and you don't know who's going to close games. Although a Twins official today was telling me how Cole Sands is going to do a good job with the closer. I'm like, okay, all right, let's, this is the hope springs eternal part of the season. So we're hearing a lot of optimism.
Hey, Wobbs. Remember when you went on your podcast and basically said that KFAN is nothing but bits, and that's what we do?
Oh, God, that's right. I forgot about that. How long ago was that?
A couple of years.
Yeah.
And his podcast co-host just trashed us for like 2 hours, and Lavelle just sat there. You're adding to our bit library, though, because of this column, though. Every time the Twins make any move, I'm going to play this now.
There it is.
Just the splash.
The splash. There
So
it is.
Taylor Rogers, $2 million.
Yeah, that's right. There it is.
This was it a catcher that's pretty good from Houston, we think?
Oh, the switch hitter.
The random first baseman from like a week and a half ago?
Bell.
Yeah. So I'll put this on the button bar, and we've got our new bit. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, but I think it hurts you a little bit, but you also take it as a compliment because I believe that the radio station drives popular culture, and I think that's a positive for your media organization.
Well, it is and it isn't. It's a positive, but it's also, I don't want to relitigate this.
I know, I'm
Why
sorry
did
I
you
brought
do
it up.
this?
I know,
I don't know, because
especially today.
I've forgotten all about
I know.
this, and now you're bringing it back up. The problem with it is there's a sort of patronizing
That's the word
aspect
for
to it,
Yep.
like,
We're
well,
not sophisticated.
we couldn't possibly, there's nothing that could be possibly well thought out or nuanced on that. It's just, the popular rage that's out there, and we would never deign to that, even though we would love to be on your station for about 20 years. But we would never deign for that. We would rather just, look down and say, well, it's just all nonsense. There could never be anything within the bits that is intelligent. As I mentioned, nurturing, nuanced. That's the issue. But I don't want to relitigate that again.
I'm just going to say
the producer of the show. Of all things
brilliant.
today, you make me go down this road. It's unbelievable.
I believe your station is brilliant at substantive entertainment. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Well, yeah, it's the
Substance.
least you can say at this point because you're still on it.
We got 9 minutes left in the show to bring this thing back.
Well, I do have only one more baseball question. That's all I can handle today. Do you have any sense, and maybe I've asked you this already, but I don't think so. Do you have any sense, we can overrate and sometimes underrate a manager's influence, but there's still a manager, one presumes for a reason, right? That's a position that exists for a reason. So leaving aside talent, okay, because that's another thing. But just in terms of managerial approach and style, what do you believe will be among the biggest differences between the guy who left and the guy who's starting in that chair in April?
Well, I think the thing about Shelton, and it's weird because, he'd say one thing he could have done better in Pittsburgh was communicate, make sure the message that he is setting out is retained the right way and executed the right way, which is weird because communication was a strong suit as a bench coach. And that's what made him really popular here when he's working under Rocco. So I think from a communicative aspect that he's going to be on point. I think he's going to be a good motivator. And I think that's really needed for some people, especially some of the guys like Matt Wallner and Royce Lewis are trying to get over the hump here. He, besides, throwing Paul Skeens out every fifth day, he's got to prove that he can handle a pitching staff. And Pittsburgh's had some terrible pitching staffs other than Skeens. Yeah, he may have some better arms to do it here. So I'm curious to see how he handles that part. But I think just from communication, personality, motivating factor here, that that's where he has a chance of really making a mark here. And plus, whenever you change the leadership spot, it's a great chance for everyone to hit the reset button. So players are thinking there's a fresh start. Shelton's probably thinking he's got a fresh start.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like a scenario in which both sides can be good for each other.
Okay, I'll accept that. And I don't have any follow-up questions right now because we're short on time anyway, and we have plenty of opportunity to get back to baseball much, much, much later. So it's becoming a bit fashionable at this point to say that the Wolves bench situation is now crying for Tim Connelly to step in and make a exactly. So, do you agree with that? And does it have to be like a big splash, like one of the superstar players, or do you think there are some players out there who could improve the Wolves bench in a way that could give them a bit of a lift the rest of this season going into the postseason that they are required to get at this point?
Well, it's kind of weird we're at this point because we thought the Wolves had a decent bench, even when they killed Alexander Walker leaving. I mean, my man, Terrence Shannon Jr., I'm like, what's happened to my man here? This was kind of set up for him to step up and kind of step into the breach and be a guy, and it hasn't happened. Dillingham has marginalized himself, basically, and has not developed as fast as they wanted to. So, yeah, Connelly needs to step up and here before the deadline. This is going to be interesting because he has made his biggest splashes when people weren't seeing it coming. Right. This is now a time where fans are expecting something to happen. He's got to step up here. And what type of player are we looking for? Do we want another guy who can protect Main Street when Rudy Gobert's on the court? Do you want to score? Are we still looking for that elusive guy who can run the offense? You mentioned a dude yesterday who I'm a fan of, and I had on my fantasy basketball team a couple years ago, and Benedict Mathurin, who I watched play at Arizona before he went to the NBA, and I like him. But the man's only averaging like 2.7 assists a game. And I think right now they need a guy who could play with Ant, hit an occasional three, and be kind of a little more creative than that. So I think that would fit them good because there's a void there. You guy Mike Conley, love the guy. Smart. He's rather eclectic. He's been there, done that. Listens to everything from R&B to rap to REO Speedwagon, but the offense ain't there. He needs to be old stop and pop, and he's not doing that right now. Of course, and Dillingham has to develop. So they need a guy at guard who I think can come in and play with Ant or play off Ant, and while facilitating things for other guys. So that's the type of player I want to see Connelly bring in here. And yeah, I don't want to see a pebble thrown into the ocean here. I want to see a boulder splash in a pond, and that may lead to a tough decision, like including Jaden McDaniels in the deal or something like that. They got a chance here. I mean, except for these last few games here, the aggravating loss against Utah piled on with the aggravating loss to the Bulls. They lost 4 straight. But still, there are signs here, this team could still be kind of a threat. And Ant, as our Chris Hine has chronicled, has leveled up a little bit. He's definitely shooting much better in clutch situations. So, yeah, I think Connelly needs to make a move here to bolster the roster, and it will do wonders in the locker room, too. When guys see that front office is serious about equipping them with the best possible roster, they respond to that stuff. So, this is time for Connelly to be the guy and make the move.
So you're saying you don't like the idea? I don't even think he's available, but Mathurin, you don't think he fits the bill, or you do?
I think he can help, but I still think they need someone who can offer some more creativity than he does.
Yeah, I'm almost given up on the purity of somebody who represents that, and I'm willing to accept a little less than that. That is literally somebody who can handle the ball but more importantly can score. And they have to get, if presumably he's off the bench guy, you have finally added to your bench, and you're not any longer demanding that Naz Reid score all of your points off the bench. That's just not realistic, and that's sort of what's facing him. But I don't even think he's available. I think I think at least 2, maybe 3 options are available on the team they beat the team that beat the Wolves last night, the Bulls. But again, it's about price, and it's about a lot of open questions, so we'll have to see. We're against the clock, though, so go ahead. You're going to say?
I would say, I'm a A.O. DeSumo guy, having watched him at Illinois. Kobe White would be expensive just because you probably have to transfer him and his barber. So I don't know if that's going to work out.
Right? Yeah. Well, that's a sacrifice I'm guessing they would be willing to make, because I think he would help. But you're back to you're renting him, because I think he's in the last year of his deal, and then do you want to re-sign him? I don't know. I don't know what the ramifications there would be, but that also might mean it wouldn't cost you as much if it's a rental kind of thing, and the Bulls have already given up on the fact that then it gets some money off of their books. We will have a wonderful weekend, and we will chat next week. Thanks, Lavelle.
All right, man. Take care.
Lavelle E. Neal III joining us. And as I said, Gaardsy, if you can take care of the phone. I don't know. Our regular phone does not allow us to put anybody on hold, unfortunately. We're out early for Hockey Day Minnesota coverage right here on the Fan. That is coming up next. I'm back for sermons on Sunday. Are you going to Gopher, Nebraska, the Gophers Nebraska men's game tomorrow morning? It's like 11, right?
Yeah, and that's an issue.
Oh, okay.
I thought we were in the clear with some kids stuff.
Oh, I see.
That
Now you're not?
Now I don't think I am.
Yeah.
So that's a long way to say probably not.
Then you know what's going to happen. They're going to win.
I know.
Nebraska, remember, is
undefeated.
I think their point differential, isn't it like 13 in the Big Ten season so
Pretty
far?
good.
Something ridiculous. Freddie Hoiberg apparently has figured it. Somebody nominated him to be the next Wolves coach. They're that done with Finchie, apparently.
Wow.
So take that for whatever it's worth. But that's there we are. Lance and Chatska writes, a new bit should be Lavelle saying how the Twins/Pollard would handle a situation from another team, which might be the way to go. Papa Taco is nominating Westbrook. No.
Is it Russell?
Yes. No.
That's not a good idea.
No. I always will give him credit for activity and effort.
And I like him more than most.
He's got a motor,
Yep.
but I don't think he fits this thing at all, because he could miss 25 straight three-pointers. They got to get somebody who can hit a shot, right? Thanks for watching. Thanks indeed for listening. Ben Gessling today, thank you. Lavelle and Picks, not to mention Rob Olson, Fox 9, helping us out on the demonstrations downtown. Have a good weekend. We'll talk to you Sunday at 9.